Hey, this is Danko Jones. You are listening to and watching Linea Rock.
Hi, Danko.
Hey, Barbara. It's good to talk to you again.
Good to have you back here. Welcome back to Linea Rock and welcome back to Milano, of course.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you.
So you have a new album coming out in April, and we are very excited about it. Actually, you've often proclaimed big rock manifesto in your songs, like I Gotta Rock, Rock Shit Hot, Do You Wanna Rock? And the title of this new album is another, I must say, declaration of rock. Mm-hmm. A Rock Supreme.
Sure.
Great title, which is about being in a band and know well how to play rock and roll, which, you know, Danko Jones is all about. Is it in good faith or it intends to be, in a sense, pretentious, you know, since Danko Jones is one of the most unfairly underrated bands in rock? Aren't you afraid of being misunderstood with this title?
A Rock Supreme?
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean, because the word supreme kind of elicits like superior.
Right.
But it's actually just a play on another album called The Love Supreme by John Coltrane. And so we're all very big John Coltrane fans, to the point where the title was suggested by our drummer Rich. And he said, as a joke, how about A Rock Supreme? And he smiled, and we thought it was great because of just how esteemed A Love Supreme is. It's arguably the best jazz album ever put out. I mean, you can swap it with, you know, A Kind of Blue or Bitches Brew, but really, at least that's what's considered the best John Coltrane record he ever made.
Right.
So in a sense, playing off of A Love Supreme to us is sacrilege. And because it's sacrilege, at least to me, I think that's a little rock and roll. So yeah, I think if you're unfamiliar with the title and the album A Love Supreme, it would seem a little pretentious or a little arrogant to say. But at the same time, you know, we're big, huge John Coltrane fans, and it's just a play off of A Love Supreme. And it fits in the rock and roll context of, you know, album titles. So it was cool, but we just couldn't come up with an album title for this. So this was decided in the the 11th hour, but when it was all done and we handed it in, and I personally was a little nervous when we decided it. Now that it's out, and now, you know, I really like that, and I really feel that we don't get to talk about some of our other kinds of favorite kinds of music, and this kind of is a doorway into that. It's not the first time we've done it, though, and that's why Rich said what he said, because in 2015 we put out an album called Fire Music, and that was a direct steal from an Archie Shepp record called Fire Music, of course. Okay. And so when we decided to name it that, I thought, oh my God, I'm just going to be talking about Archie Shepp in every interview that I'm going to do for this album. And no one asked me about it.
Really?
Yeah, not one person asked me, why did you rip off Archie Shepp? Everyone just thought it was our title. So, you know, even when we were in the studio, I said, you know, I've always wanted to, I wish we came up with Fire Music instead of Archie Shepp. And then JC just said, why don't we just take it? Because it's not so specific that it can only be identified with Shepp.
Right.
So, and he was right. No one asked about it. But A Rock Supreme, even though people may not know A Love Supreme, I am being asked about the title more than any other title we've done. So that's interesting to me. And it makes me think Coltrane, no matter how far you can distance yourself away from him, he does carry weight. If you take from Coltrane, it'll carry weight. So It's interesting.
About the sound, A Rock Supreme is another adrenaline shot of pure rock and roll, which is a guarantee, I must say, with Danko Jones. But this time it seems that the sound is smarter, is like wants to reach a wider audience. Is that correct? I mean, this was the approach, the intention while recording it, or it's simply natural?
Yeah, it's out of my hands. I mean, what we do when we do another record, we don't have a meeting and talk about our direction or what are our aspirations, or no, we just write 10, 11, 12 new rock songs. I mean, we write more. We write like more like 20.
Wow.
And then whittle it down to what we're going to walk into the studio with. And when we do, we just recorded the 11 songs that are on the album with Garth Richardson. So, but there's no game plan.
Okay.
There's no strategy. We just write songs. And so if people think that, oh, this sounds a little more, I hate the word mature, I hate the word progress when it comes to rock and roll music, because I think that's a negative. But if people feel that we're sounding better, I'm not going to argue.
Okay. The fact of being a trio, since the beginning, is something that can become limiting some way. And how, can you keep such a high level, being just three people in the band, so three writers, three performers,
Well, we've done this for 23 years. So by this time, we all kind of know our place and we have our own jurisdictions, and we know our strengths and our weaknesses. And even though Rich has been in the band for 6 years, it's the longest standing drummer we've ever had.
Yeah.
And he's quite ingrained in how we do things by now. And between me and JC, we've been doing this band since day one together. So we know our strengths and our weaknesses, and when the other should back off, and when we should come forward. So it's quite easy to execute things off stage. And then when it comes to writing songs, or playing the songs, I should say, again, we're just so used. That's all I know. I think I would not, sitting here talking to you, I don't think I would know how to play in a 5-piece band or a 4-piece band. I just know a 3-piece band. And even all the bands I was in before this, my first band was a 3-piece band. My second band was a 2-piece band, and then a 3-piece band. So I've never been in a 4-piece band. I don't know how that feels.
All right.
Yeah, even though we do technically have the same instrumentation as, Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin, 4 instruments. Right. Yeah, we do.
Because there's just the singer.
Yeah.
You're in charge of it.
I'm doing singing and guitar playing. So, if I could only, if I only had to play guitar and not sing, then I would sound like Jimmy Page. But
that's interesting.
No, but it's all we know. So it makes it easy that way, because we don't have any other option, or we don't know the other side of the fence.
So from what I understand, especially you and JC are like a democracy. Everybody has, voice and in decision making and so on. But as a matter of fact, since the beginning, the band has been called Danko Jones, which is you. Mm-hmm. Did you ever have any problems, or did it ever create any issues, frictions or misunderstanding among the band through the years, since it's your name, Fairfront?
Between me and JC, there's been no misunderstanding, only because he knows me. Okay. So he knows where I am. He knows where I stand on things, and he knows that it is a democracy. So if I might end up, upon first meeting, someone might come up to me first, but he knows that I know that we're on equal footing. And I don't think in all the years that we've been working together, I've worked in any other capacity. I've never tried to strong arm my will because my name is on the marquee. The reason why it is mainly because we started 23 years ago, and at the time we came out of a garage punk scene that was very thriving back in the mid to late 90s. Yeah. And most of the bands in the scene had the word "the" in front of it. So to distinguish ourselves from that, and because I was the one who asked the original lineup, I asked JC and Michael to join my new
band.
project.
Yeah.
I had the luxury of doing that. And then quickly, as time went on in the coming year or two after we started the band, I mean, there's just no way we could go on without it being a democracy. I just don't feel comfortable that way. That's just not how I'm built.
Plus, that is a great name. I mean, it's exotic in a sense and easy to remember, but,
Yeah,
you know,
and
why not?
The way we perform and the way JC knew I performed in my other band, the Violent Brothers, another
Okay.
you know, he knew that I was going to perform trying to get as many people in the audience to look at me. That was my main goal. So it did pull focus on the singer, and I like that. And he was pretty secure with himself to be okay with it. But the deciding factor was I going to let it go to my head? And I can honestly tell you, in 23 years, you can ask him, but 23 years, I've been so aware of it to not get to my head that I even sometimes go the other way and go, oh, you guys choose, I don't know. So it comes from punk rock, you know, and punk rock polices itself to annoying degrees. But what it does build in a person, if you stay in the scene long enough, and if you are in the scene at an impressionable age, it gives you grounding, modesty, and like a humbleness, because punk rock people are constantly tattletaling on each other and batting each other down. No one's allowed to be bigger than the other person. And so that is our background. So behind the scenes, things are democracy, things are split equally. And even though it takes forever, everyone's opinion is valued, and we have to wait till everybody weighs in on sometimes very small issues. And sometimes it's like a thread of 20 emails going back and forth. And then one of us will just go, I'm out. You guys decide. I don't care anymore. So that's how it is. And I know in other bands, regardless of whether the singer gets the attention or not, there's one member who acts as a dictator and tells everyone what to do. And this is a democracy. Yeah. And sometimes, you know, someone will want to do something that the others don't, and vice versa. Someone doesn't want to do something that the rest do. Well, then we just talk about it, you know, but there's no, you know, we go through the same arguments and discussions and fights that I think other bands do. We just do it in a business working sense where we're mature enough to distinguish between what is work and band business and what is us personally as friends. Yeah, that's good. And sometimes the lines get blurred in rock and roll when you live and work with people. Right. It's hard, you know, but the issues would have been raised in the first few years, and then 23 years on, you know, we kind of know how to do things, you know.
So this time the producer is Garth Richardson, which worked on some multi-platinum albums of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Rage Against the Machine, Biffy Clyro, just to name a few. Yes. Yeah. Was that, you know, selling millions magic touch that he has that you were looking for exactly?
No, it was not million magic touch. It was more like we wanted to work with Garth because of those albums that, you know, JC's a big Biffy Clyro fan. Okay. And so that was really what impressed him with Garth. I mean, of course, Rage Against the Machine for all of us. And then for me, personally, it was Shot by Jesus Lizard is one of my favorite records by the Jesus Lizard, acknowledged by the band themselves as the best sounding record, which I agreed with. And the Melvins records he did 3 in the 90s, which I love. Yeah. So, you know, based on those albums, and I'm sure you can name a dozen other ones that I can't recall right now, we went with Garth because we wanted to work with someone like him who's got like this kind of resume and experience behind him. That it doesn't mean to say that Eric Ratt, who did Fire Music and Wildcat, we don't want to work with him anymore. Like, we love Eric. Like, working with him was a breeze. Yeah. And we're still good friends. And I think he's an incredible producer. But, the opportunity rose where we could work with GGGarth,
Yeah.
Triple G.
Yeah.
And so we took it. Like, why not? And it was a blind date to see if we can all get along too. Like, I was a little nervous because if we didn't, we'd be stuck with this record and working with someone who we're not on the same page with.
Yeah.
But after the first day, Garth and us, we got along so well, and it continued for the whole session. So we laughed through the whole session, and Garth was amazing to work with. And his ear is so fine-tuned that he, one of the first things he did, and the only time he did it on the record was one of the first songs we recorded was a song called Fists Up High. And it's one of my favorite songs, even before we brought it to Garth. I love that song in the demo version. And so he didn't do this on any of the songs afterwards, but he took that song and he chopped it up and he arranged it. He's like, I think it's better this way. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be like a nightmare. And then we recorded it the way he suggested.
Yeah.
And then we listened back and I immediately said, okay, that's why he's Garth Richardson, and that's why we're here, because he's such a great ear.
Right.
And I concede the version that you hear on the record for Fists Up High is better than what we brought him. And in arrangement wise, it's a better song because of Garth. And then, of course, you talk about the tones that he can, wield at the drop of a hat, and you can talk about the sounds and knowing when a performance is final and when it's not. And he's just a great. And then the most important thing is the hang. You got to be with the guy in the same room for sometimes 10 hours a day. Can you hang with? So the mark of a good producer, I think people talk about their expertise in recording prowess, but the real, for me and a lot of bands, is can you hang with us?
Yeah. So,
And a mark of a good producer is a person who can get along with different kinds of people. And, Garth was great. He's hilarious. Like, we found out that he's from Toronto originally. He lives in Vancouver now.
wow.
But not only that, but in Toronto, we grew up from each other 10 minutes away, in walking distance away from each other. And when I was like 4 or 5 years old, my bedroom looked out in my apartment that I grew up in from 3 to 11, looked out over the schoolyard that he went to grade school.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So I was there from
incredible.
3 to 11 in an apartment building in Willowdale, and he lived, I believe it was on Van Horn. And so
It's a small world.
it was crazy. So, I'm sitting there with this like guy, the guy who did the first Rage Against the Machine record, and he goes, "Yeah, I hung out at Peanut Plaza." Like, what? You know Peanut Plaza? He's like, "Yeah."
Unbelievable.
I would never even think anyone in music at that level knows what Peanut Plaza is. And then, of course, I've been in the music industry long enough to know that Willowdale produced, like, it's a little suburb of Toronto. But out of Willowdale came Garth Richardson, Alex Mitchell of Circus of Power, the singer of Circus of Power, Sebastian Bach, the singer of Skid Row, and Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson of Rush. So it's like, I grew up thinking...
You just miss Brian Adams, maybe?
Yeah, Brian's on the other side of the country. But I grew up in Willowdale going, no one, this is so un-rock, man. And meanwhile, it's where rock's coming from.
Right. I saw the videos from Burning Hell and Dance, 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 which are two very different kind of videos. The first one was made with images that the fans sent over. And Dance, Dance, Dance doesn't have the band in it. There's just dancers. So why these two ideas? I mean, you're in charge of them, or?
Well, I mean, not necessarily in charge, but the three of us, again, it's
okay.
We oversee we agree on, what direction the video is going to take. But the two videos that you just explained have something in common, and that is we are not in a studio lip syncing.
Okay.
And after making over 30 videos, we are tired of, I am, and I know JC is, we are tired of lip syncing in videos and pretending to play it. I'm not saying that we'll never do it again, but the last time I did it was for the video, Do You Wanna Rock? And in the video, I'm walking around with a guitar and I'm singing the song. But what people don't know is that it's minus 20 degrees outside. And I had to pretend that it was plus 15, you know? So I was freezing that night. And after that, and the director was a nightmare to work with. So, and I can say that on record because I don't care about that. So in that situation, I don't care. And after that experience, I said, look, I can't do this again, and we don't want to do this again. So if you notice, the last 5 videos, we haven't really been in there lip syncing. They've been concert footage videos and animated videos. And with Dance, 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 we asked Amir Chamden, the director, to do our video. And Amir is someone we've known for 15 years but never worked with. He's directed, I think, every single Helicopters video. He's done a couple of Ghost videos in the Cardigans. He's based out of Stockholm. And Amir was supposed to do one of our videos years ago, but I don't know, it fell through. And then we met him last summer at a Helicopters show. He was just hanging out. So we started talking again, our band and him. And I think we reminded each other that we're still around. So when it came time to do like a studio video in a sound studio, we asked Amir, but we were in Toronto and he was in Stockholm. So he came up with a concept, and it was a very quick concept, quickly done, but very good. And we're happy with it. We love it. It's one take.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you, because it seems one take.
Those girls dancing are one take. They're all choreographers they choreograph their own dance troops and fitness trainers. Like, they're very athletic, and they can move like crazy. So they came up with the choreography, and they came up with the dressing, whatever they were going to wear. And it was, I guess they rehearsed it a bunch of times. I wasn't there, but it was one take.
Since you very first started in 1996, the music biz has changed a lot in terms, of approach and sales. Has it become maybe a demotivating factor for you, or actually selling music has never been your priority, just as, delivering it to the audience, and whatever happens?
Well, I'd be a liar if I said that selling it wasn't a priority. I mean, I think every band who, once you put out a record for sale, when it's available for consumption, wishes that it will sell 10 million copies.
Okay.
And anything less is always going to be a disappointment. No matter if it goes, gold, you're going to wish it went platinum. So we've never gone gold. We've never gone platinum. So even though we've never, every release of an album, I always, hope that this would be the album that will break us big and will sell 100 million copies like Appetite for Destruction. Okay. And then, I can go and make the polka record that I've always wanted to make or something. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I would be a liar if I said those weren't our aspirations. But the reality is, we're still making music, because even though it's not selling, and I think that was the crucial deciding factor for all bands years ago when downloading became an issue for the music industry, who's going to stick around? And we're still here. Now, there's bands that are forming these days, and, new bands that are coming up, but they don't know how it used to be. This is all they know. Yeah. All they know are streaming. We've been around long enough where we know how it used to be. You used to be able to live off record sales.
Right.
And knowing that, we're still doing it. So we must be doing it for the music, first and foremost. I mean, but also, this is what we do. This has become our job. This is our job. This is my career. This is JC's career. For us to, people get mad at me or when I describe being in a band like it's a job, but it is. And if it's not a job, what the hell have I been doing for 23 years? Because it's not a hobby.
Yeah.
And if you're going to call what I do a hobby, then it's an insult to me, because then I'm nothing but unemployed for 23 years, you know? So I take what I do very seriously. And the only way to take it seriously is to call it a job. This is a job, man. This is not a hobby.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why we're still doing it, because this is all we know.
Yeah. Are you still doing podcasts?
Yeah.
Okay. How much is it like a learning experience also from the musical point of view, since you've been meeting also a lot of musicians there?
Oh, I thought you meant technically. No, I can edit. I can splice together someone's speech pretty good by now. I can make you say anything. But
life learning experience.
Yes. No, absolutely. But at the same time, I play it safe.
Okay.
Because I only interview people either that I'm friends with, that I'm fans of, or that I'm friends and fans of at the same time. Most of the time, it's both. But sometimes I'm just a fan of them, and I track them down, and I cold email them, and if they reply, maybe we can get a podcast out of it. And there's dozens where, I haven't got a response. But the people that I have on my podcast are usually musicians. I like to have a background with them first. So, for example, the latest episode is with Billy Rowe of Jet Boy. Okay. And Jet Boy were one of the premier LA rock bands back in the day. And Billy's still around.
The original copy of the first CD is worth a lot. You
really?
Yeah. It's very expensive.
Wow. Well, I remember Jet Boy from back at Feel the Shake. I remember that video, and I remember Mickey with his mohawk. And I met Billy in 2008 or 2010 when we were cruising through LA. So we had that, and we have mutual friends. And so that was enough to start a conversation with Billy. And Billy likes our band, and I like Jet Boy, so it was easy to talk to him on a podcast. And then the episode before that, Ernie C. from Body Count, we've known Ernie for 10 years, and so it was great and I hadn't seen Ernie for 5-6 years, so it was great to see him and talk to him as well. So these are real conversations by people I really know most of the time. Okay. And if I don't know them, then I let the listener know immediately.
This book, which you just brought.
Oh.
Okay, so let's do the promotion for that. Why, somebody has to immediately go to Amazon or on your website to buy a copy now?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all,
I've got something to say. So this is...
It's on Feral House Books, which is an imprint that I've been buying books of for a long time. And I believe the first book I bought from Feral House was when I just finished high school. I bought the biography to Anton LaVey. Okay. They put it out. And they also put out Lords of Chaos, which is a very definitive book on black metal. They've also put out Hardcore, the autobiography of Harley Flanagan, and Choosing Death. So they put out a few music books, but they mainly put out like occult, fringe thinking, kind of outsider type weird books. Weird is basically a good word to describe Feral House. So I'm very proud to be a part of their family. And to have this book out on Feral House is like a band being on their favorite record label. And it's called I've Got Something to Say. It is a compilation of various articles I've written about music over 10, now 12 years, and that have been printed in other music magazines. So these are reprints of old articles. And because I didn't want to sell people the same thing. So I got illustrators to illustrate the articles, much like Harvey Pekar did for American Splendor. Okay. So Erie Vaughn from Sam Hain illustrated, Damien Abraham from Effed Up illustrated, Away from Voivod has 4 pages of illustration. Valiant himself from Valiant Thor did 4 pages of comic book illustration. Juan Montoya from Torch, and Brian Walsby, who did the cover, he has 2 pages of illustration inside. And Brian's, been a drummer for Snake Nation, and I think he had a stint in Polvo, Shiny Beast, and Duff McKagan from the band. What's that band? Guns N' Roses. He did the foreword he wrote the foreword to the book.
Okay.
So it's a very heartfelt book of just all my articles, not all, hand-chosen articles.
Okay, very last question. Actually, couple. I go quick. Of course, you're planning the next tour. Do you have an idea when you will be back to Italy? And will there be any surprises in the set list this time?
I don't know what people consider a surprise in the set list, because we've been around and for a while, and we mean different things to different people and different songs for different people. So, there's songs we don't play. We only play in Canada. Because people, it's weird, but when we'll play a show in Canada, we all have to go, yeah, we got to play that song again, because if we don't, we're going to get letters. But no one cares in Europe like we could play. So it's very curated sometimes to where we are. I believe Italy will be on, we just played 3 shows in Italy last November, December, but we should be coming back by the year's end, if not sooner than that. So absolutely.
Very last question, or they're going to kill me. Danko, as you know, we are both big Kiss fans. So I must ask you that. The end of the road just started. And a lot of fans expected them to come back, with the 4 original members, but they didn't.
No.
Plus, there's a big controversy on the rumors about Paul Stanley using backing tracks on stage in some songs, let's say. What is your opinion on that as an, I must say, illustrious Kiss fan? And actually, do you care? Or is it something that you think that fans should care of at this point?
Well, thank you for giving me the option to say I don't care, because I don't.
Okay.
I was going to lead with that because it's not my band, it's their band. So I don't care what they do. To me, they've made so many mistakes and so many successes and so many right decisions. But what endears me to Kiss is the fact that they can have great success with so many missteps. And this is a misstep.
Okay.
End of tour is a misstep. As far as Paul Stanley using backing tracks, that's to his own business. And I know that there's some singing problems there, but there's also no performance problems. He looks great. You know, so there's that as well. It would be different. The same situation would happen as if he can sing like a bird, but he can't move around anymore without falling on his butt. That would also be an equal issue. So I don't care about that, but I do care of the fact that they should just it's. My biggest thing is Tommy and Eric should have their own makeup. That's all. If they want to have a 3-year final tour, that's their business. If people are going to show up, it might as well. They don't know anything else to do other than spend their money. So if this is going to relieve boredom for them, then enjoy your life. And if people are going to show up, just, don't charge too high a price because you don't need the money, and just let everyone, as many people as they possibly can, see the show. That's all I would say. And then have a blast. And whether you can pull it off and sing great or not, like you did in '76, who cares if people are going to show up? But Tommy and Eric, I've always said this, should have their own makeup.
Thanks so much, Danko, for your time and for another great interview.
Thanks, Barbara. This was great. I mean, it's great to talk to you.
Always a pleasure to talk to you. Can't wait to, looking forward for the next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao. We're done.